In this video I'm going to turn this GameCube into an Amiga 3000. Okay, that's a lie. I'm taking a Mister out of my GameCube case and putting it into an Amiga 3000 case and try to build an Amiga 3000 that is not distinguishable from a real one with a Mister inside, if that makes sense. See for yourself. This video is kindly sponsored by PCBWay. Thank you, PCBWay. So here's my GameCubified Mister. As you can see, USB hub for 4 USB ports, which I designed and printed and put in here. And yeah, backplate is Misterified to accommodate for the I/O. You have the standard GameCube power, which is 12 volts, which is regulated down to 5 for the Mister inside. We have a menu button here, and we have the reset switch here for the Mister, and the power button here. And yeah, if you take a look inside, there's the Mister. And we will disassemble this and put it in the Amiga 3000 case, because I can't get the 3000 board to work. And yeah, we will get to this in a minute. Let me first disassemble this, get the Mister out, and take it from there. We need a few cables and stuff, because I already did that and never did it on camera, so now I do it on camera. Seems to be loose now. Ah, yeah, there's screws coming out. Okay. We can take that off. You can see you can just take it off, just like on a normal GameCube. And here is where the magic sits. So what I did, and I made a video about this. So there's a Mister, all this is Mister. I did wire this in here, and I just did take a PCB, one of these cheapo PCBs which you can order on AliExpress. Didn't create my own, and I just soldered all the stuff in here, and it works perfectly. And then I used the mounting holes for the screws, or the screw holes, and put on these little things here so that these are held on. And I did hot glue the reset switch back on here, because this was on the PCB before with these little legs here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I did put some tape on here. Yeah, so here's my USB-ish hub, which we will remove, and I think I did actually solder to the board. You can see I soldered the reset switch on here, and I did solder the the user button or menu button on here. And I did some power stuff here, which we have to remove. And of course this back plate comes off, and there goes the standard back plate. So I can put a GameCube in there. I think I have one, but it's broken. But maybe that's a project for another day to fix that and yeah, recreate this GameCube here. But the GameCube is pretty much the perfect case for the Mister, if you want something interesting to look at and not just a box. But I want my Amiga 3000 back, and I have an Amiga install which is perfect for the 3000. And it even gives you AGA and stuff like that on the Mister, so that's good. So let's just quickly remove these cables here. And now we have to go and we have to remove this here. We take the whole fan and power button assembly out. And down there is my adapter for this, power adapter. And we go and we take these 2 screws out, which hold the Mister in place. Yeah, I did do some very creative wiring. I think it's not even soldered in, it's just pushed in. So I have one of these cheapo micro PSUs, and I just... Did I solder this? Ah, I did solder this on the other side. So let's take this out. Here you can see that I actually soldered this to the board. So this right here is to start the whole thing, because it's off if you don't short these two. And this is just 12 volts coming in here to this little board, and then 5 volts going out here. Don't really need this. What we have to do is we have to remove this from the Mister board here, And the USB hub also needs 5 volts, so we have to resolder this accordingly. I also did solder to all the USB ports down here. Great thing. So we also have to remove that. Should be a quick job, and then we just connect standard cables, and I think we have minimal, if any, soldering to do. Maybe the power LED and stuff like that. And we will cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, so we have our Mister free. You can see there's a Bluetooth dongle and a Wi-Fi dongle, and yeah, nothing much to see here. Just have to power this and we have a working Mister again. So this has been to a lot because I removed these LEDs, I did solder to this, to all of these points down here. So yeah, it's still a happy Mister, but it has seen things. So now let's go and let's put the Mister in the 3000 and let's check how we are going to do this. Let's quickly go and let's check out PCBWay.com, the sponsor of today's video. And I quickly wanted to show you how to actually order stuff here. If you're not already registered, just register. If you are already a member, just sign in. And if you are signed in, you can see right here's your dashboard, and you can see what the status of your orders is right now. And let's go to PCBWay projects and let's check out if we can find something that's interesting to order. So we go to share projects and let's search for, let's say I'm working on an Amiga. Let's see what kind of Amiga projects we have here. So this is interesting. This is an Amiga RGB SCART breakout board, so that you can just use this board right here and put it in your SCART connector. Yeah, let's go and let's order this. So you can see the description here. This is a project, and to add this to your cart or to order this, you just click on Add to Cart, and then you get this screen. And this might be overwhelming at first, but it's pretty straightforward. So you can see here's a price, and the first thing I always do is I set my country here. Since I'm not in America but in Germany, I go and I select Germany. You can see all the shipping costs here. 24-hour production is $5 for 5 of these. So what I do next is I check how many I can get for $5, because that varies based on the size of the PCB. So if you go here, you can see here's 5 and 10. Let's try 10. And you see 10 is still 5. And if we try, let's say 15, yeah, 15 goes up. So I always order the maximum that is possible for $5. So check this, because you can get more. Since we are using one of the projects, it's pretty easy because we just have to select the amount, and everything else is already set. You just go Save to Cart. You agree to whatever there appears, because it's custom regulations. And then you're here. And now you can see, let me see, it's subject to audit here. And that means that now someone on the PCBWay.com side of things is going and reviewing this PCB. So if it's possible to produce it, if there's anything obviously wrong with it, stuff like that. And until then you can't order actually. You have to wait for this audit to go through, and you get a mail then, and then you can order and pay. So that's what happens, and you get the mail, and then you click proceed to checkout, off you go, and you receive a package with the produced PCBs. Back to the video. So here's the case, nice 3000 without the board. So there's my drive cage, to which I had this blue SCSI, I'm not sure, some SCSI thing attached, which I don't need right now. There's also an SD card in here, and yeah, we're going to take this out, because one way or another we have to put a power supply in here. Well, let me first show you how I did it last time. So inside the 3000 there's this metal rod, and if you push the power button, this metal rod moves. And I believe this is actually stock. So you have the power button here, and you push this, and this metal rod moves to the back and pushes onto the power supply here. And sometimes it sticks on and you actually see the power button pushed in, and sometimes it doesn't. So to emulate this sits here and the power button goes here. To emulate this, I did 3D print this here, which just screws in here, and there's just a standard push button, which is at exactly the same position like this thing here. And the rod pushes against this, and you can actually connect whatever you want in terms of power supply and still use the power button in front, which is nice. I then went and did print back plates for all the different purposes. This is for the power, so you can put this in here, and it gives you this right here, which is this closed. So this is where the PSU, the standard PSU sits. And I also printed things for this here, which are these. And they just got screwed in from the inside, and then they just look brownish and everything is covered, which is nice. So I am a bit torn between using this again because it actually works. So this plugs into some standard PSU, and this is then the power supply for that. There's room enough here because, well, the Mister, if you take a look at it, could easily sit just on this drive cage here, which might be the way I mount this time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The only thing that doesn't work right now is with a Mister, that is. I could use a Raspberry Pi, then I could actually use my disk drive in here, but that doesn't work right now. But I know for sure that Rob Smith is actually working on the Mister version of his drawbridge, floppy bridge thing, and he's actually in the process of getting PCBs made. So if these are available, I can actually use my drive, and then this is not too distinguished from a standard Amiga 3000. I could even go and put, instead of these blanks, just the ports. You can buy 25-pin ports and 23-pin things for the video and stuff like that, or you could just put HDMI here, which I did. I have one with HDMI, which is here. So this is an HDMI adapter which screws in somewhere here. And that would make it look even more like an Amiga 3000. And yes, I plan on using the original keyboard, for which I have this here, which is a USB to Amiga 2000 or 3000 keyboard adapter. So that goes in here, just at the spot where the keyboard goes in, and you can just put it in there. Same goes for mouse and joystick. So I have this mouse adapter which goes in here, and you can use your Amiga mouse, and the same for the joystick. So it's hard to tell just from looking at it that it's not an Amiga 3000. And even if you boot it, it's just booting to an Amiga. So that is pretty much the closest you get to the Amiga experience. And it's FPGA, it's not emulation, it's emulated hardware or recreated hardware, not recreated in software. And it's pretty much the same that Amiga Kit does with the 1200 G something and the 600 something boards, which are also FPGA. And yeah, so that's the way I go for now, until I actually fix my A3000 board. But I did spend again a week trying to fix it, and it's just tough as hell because there are so many moving parts, not really moving, but there's so much stuff you have to check, and since there was 12 volts on the 5 volts line, that's not a good idea. I did change out many components and checked every single piece of, you know, yeah, it's exhausting. And yeah, that setback that I actually had it post in diagram, and then when I changed something, it just went for a black screen again. That's just, yeah, that crushed me again. So I think I have to recover for a few weeks and maybe I try again, but yeah. Yeah, so decisions. What do I do? Do I use the original power supply, which is this right here, which then just goes in there, and I would connect probably to one of these here, and yeah, that could actually be a way to do this. I don't think this has some kind of standby power which you have to short, so you just push the button and it works. So that could actually be an option, and the easiest way to connect this is just to take this, solder one of these connectors on here, and we would have power. And I think that is actually the way to go, because it gives some heft to the, yeah, well, the case is hefty, and I don't have to come up with a power supply solution again, which is not something I particularly enjoy because I've done it so often and it's just wiring stuff together. But this exists, and maybe I even make it open source so that you can enjoy it. If you have a dead power supply and you still want to use a power button, you can, yeah, use this little proxy piece and solder in whatever you like. Yeah, so I'm going with the OG PSU. That means we have to take this whole thing out, put the PSU in, and then we go and try to figure out how to mount the MISTER. And that is just a matter of cable length, because as you can see, these cables are not too long. If I put them here, the MISTER has to sit somewhere, ideally down here under this whole thing. Yeah, and I think I will do that first. That's, I think, a good idea. So let's take this whole thing out and take it from there. And for that we have to also take this out, because this is plugged in here. And yes, I have a 4000 which is perfectly fine working, but I want my 3000 to work. I want to be able to switch it on and use it. And doing this is pretty much like using the original. So I'm not kidding me anymore. This is the way to go, and it's absolutely reliable. Every time I switch on, it just works, which is nice. So the drive's out, and I will put the drive back in, and I will, if Rob finishes his project, I will buy one and put it in here, and then this will be even cooler. I did that for an Amiga 1200 with, I think it was a Raspberry Pi, and that worked perfectly fine with the drive. So that's this whole cage out. You can see here's the bracket for keyboard and mouse and joystick. And maybe let's start there. Let's put in the mouse adapter, which is this here. And this is programmed to behave like a mouse adapter. You just plug it in here and then you screw it in. That's pretty much all there is, but I think I have to take this casing off. Put some tape on here. Yeah, that fits now. No, still not working. Ah, okay, I'm an idiot. You need, of course, a counter screw on the other side. Yeah, that's in. Okay, first port done. Let's head over to the joystick side of things, which is this one right here, which goes in here. And that is the two ports done. Okay, next up we have, what do we do? Let's do the HDMI first, just to check where it fits. I'm not sure where I'd put this here. And eventually I might even go and spray paint these in the Commodore color. Let's see, where does this fit? Yeah, fits in the video. Nice. Let's use it. So that's the HDMI port fitted. So theoretically, we have completely working Mister now, with mouse and video and all. What we're going to do is we're going to put this hub in here to connect all these cables. Make it nice and tidy. Something like this. And then we need this right here, which I have to take out of this. And in there is this little board that will go right here. And there's one little problem, which is you have to really glue it in here because there's no other way. There's nothing to hold it to. If you can, I mean, you can use these, but it won't really work. I think last time I just had it glued in here. So I have to come up with an idea for that here, because that's not ideal. Yeah, for now that's not much of concern. Let's go and let's see how we handle these back here. So I could go and put my standard plastic thingies in here. I think I just thinking about just putting in blanks here. Let me go and see if I find some. So I did find one cut-off cable which would be the perfect serial port, and what we do is we just go and remove these things. So there's our serial port mounted, and now we could use a SCSI and a floppy port, parallel port. Not sure if I can get a floppy connector somewhere. Yeah, I think for now I'm just good with this and putting in the blanks here, and then later putting in the other things. Okay, that's these blanks in of one port, and yeah, we have these still to fill. Don't have blanks for these actually. Not sure how to handle that, but I could put in this VGA port in here, which would pretty much fit perfectly. That's this in. Nice. Yeah, we have these three here. We could theoretically use these and build an adapter cable from 3.5 millimeter jack to chinch, but not now. Yeah, I think these three will be left blank for now. Or I could just check if I have the right connectors for that. So I did find one of these switches. I'm not sure how to mount this in here, because the hole for this switch is pretty big. It doesn't work. Okay, let me see if I have a better washer. Yeah, that actually works. And it sits inside here, which is interesting. It doesn't move, which is pretty important. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I'll take it. Yeah, I would say that's pretty much perfect. I could use this to switch the SD cards if I wanted to. This is coming together really nicely. Then I have these here, and these holes are pretty much the same size. Let's see if we can make that happen. Nope. Yeah, I think that works. So these washers here, which are M6 washers, should work perfectly with these holes here. Yeah, that's pretty much how you would like to have it. Awesome! This just works. Not going to use these right now, but I could if I would like to. Yeah, that doesn't work quite like I would like to. So we need two washers of these, one in the front and one in the back, plus this contact here, so that we can actually make that happen. See, this looks pretty much perfect. And yes, I know that these normally don't stand out that much, but that's pretty cool. So if these ports were filled, it would be pretty hard pressed to think that this is an original A3000, I think. Okay, we have to take care of the LEDs and stuff, which isn't too hard. We just plug them into the Mister, and we have to find a way to actually mount the Mister somewhere. And that should be somewhere around here. But I need some kind of mounting plate to do this. So I have to 3D print something here, and then we would go and plug in this here. And we would get power from up here somewhere. Put or plug this in here, and then I have this contraption here, which can just plug in here and gives me 4 USB ports, which I have already connected here and here. And I have this here, which gives me audio out on the outside, plus the 3 Mister buttons, which I could reconnect again, even though I would prefer a different way. Or I could just use these 2 USB ports and mount them on the outside here, because these 2 screws here just happen to be as far, seem to have the same distance like these on the floppy drive, so I could put 2 USB ports here. That would also be a solution or a way to go. So I would cut this in, cut this here. I think I will do that. And just like that, we have 2 USB ports. Very nice. So instead of 3D printing, I just took some cardboard and yeah, mounted my Raspberry Pi on this. And this is some cardboard from some tomato juice. So yeah, that works. These are the mounting holes for the PCB in the case. And we can just go put this on here. It should line up perfectly. And that's how this is sitting in here. This is just screwed down. And I will put that over here with some zip ties. And I will just go and mark this on here. There and there, maybe there and somewhere in there, like this. 3 zip ties, good to go. I still have to attach the keyboard adapter. I've not done that yet. And yes, I'm making this up as I go, as I often do. It's almost too easy. That's rock solid. Very nice. Very nice. And it's clean. Super clean. It's super easy to do. No measurements. Just take a screwdriver and push your holes. That's all you have to do. Like that. And we got this sorted. All we have to do now is to plug these here in, and then we have all of our connectivity taken care of, except for the keyboard adapter. But this is really nice. I like it. I really like it. The fan has room to breathe and push stuff out. I also ordered a VGA extender, so we can actually do real VGA output on this one, which is also nice. Okay, so that looks fantastic, even better than expected. Now I have to sort out this here and the whole power situation. I'm thinking about just putting some cardboard under here. That would be almost perfect. And then just screw it in and cable tie it to this box here and screw it in over here. It could indeed be an option. Okay, so zip tie it in. So what I will do is I will go and put some tape over this, some clear tape, just so that the box doesn't rip anymore. So we get a bit stability for our holes here. They not rip out immediately. And now we need 2 zip ties. Not sure if it really works, but we will see. At least it's stuck to the box now. So we'll go and we'll just try to screw it in, and if it doesn't work, we will wait for the new tape to arrive. Yeah, that's stable here. Wow. It's crazy. It's just some cardboard box, but it works pretty well. Without any hot glue or anything. What we can do is we can actually stabilize this in here. So just using some tape. Putting that on here. This has less flexibility. Yeah, it's even more stable now. Wow, that's really good. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, which brings me to the part where I have to put the cage back in and to decide if I actually use the original power supply. Wow, that's close. Let's hope there's nothing shorting out there. We'll put some tape on here, on these parts, where it could possibly short out. And that should work. I'm just going to put this over here. Could possibly short out. Wow, that was close call. Okay, that's the Mister in the 3000. Just needing some power. I will use this SD card extender if it actually works, so that I don't have to open the case all the time if I have to switch SD cards, which shouldn't be too often. I still have these here, these buttons, which I could use. I'm not really in the mood, but I have no other way to get to these buttons, so And I could use this piece here and have my power button back. Let's for now just screw this in. So that would at least give me my power button back. Let's quickly test that if it still works. Can hear it click. Yeah, so that would actually be an option. And the easiest way to connect this would be to just go and resolder it to where it was before. Instead of this, use these 2 cables to connect it if I need to, and start it and connect this to the Mister. Oh no, that is already connected, so I don't need... I need a 12-volt power supply. That should be doable. And then we would pretty much be ready to go, except for the LEDs, which I think wouldn't light up yet. And we have, of course, to put this back in here to cover this hole and to have a connection for the PSU which goes in here. And that would be pretty much it. And leave the OG power supply out of this. Okay, I'm working on the power side of things right now. I already connected the LEDs, and yeah, that is just 2 wires from the front panel. If you have not a second cable, it's 3 wires or 4 wires. If you use ground twice, you have to just connect this to this. And now I'm going to solder in my wires here. I already did a connector here so that I can use my regulated power supply to just give it 12 volts and test if all the things in here work. So I'm waiting for a 12 volt power supply to put into here and to actually build into this. Until then, I will just use my standard PSU for testing, and I'm just pushing the cables in here and then soldering them directly to this PSU. Could also go and put the power cable, the red one, through the switch here, but then the PSU would always run as long as there's power, because this is the thing that starts the PSU. So I will use these two spots here and wire this in right there, so that we have that sorted. And that's 5 volts in, so we have that. And now remove this cable here, which is the PSU on, which is just grounded. So that is usually a green cable, I think, on the PSU that you have to ground. Okay, that should give us a way to test this now with the power switch on. We have our power stuff sorted, and if I put or plug in my power supply now, this should work. And then connect, and then start. And here we go. But the LEDs are not lighting up. So the Mister is doing stuff, but the LEDs are not lighting up. Maybe there's not enough power for this. So what we can do now is we can go and we can plug in HDMI and see if we get an output of this. And we are in. I did create a new SD card, which I probably don't need because I assume the old one would just work fine. So let's power this down, put in the old SD card, and let's see if that still works. And if all works correctly, we should just see an Amiga booting. And there we are. Yes, that is great. Okay, still works. Phew, that's good. I already thought there's something broken. So let's try the mouse in here. That should also work. Yeah, mouse works just fine. Great. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, not testing the keyboard right now, but that should work fine too. So the machine works. That's awesome. So I did finish the internals of this, and let me show you what I did. I attached the PSU. I did buy a new power brick, 12 volts, which connects to this and powers this, and connected the switch to the power on the PSU here. I did add this backplate. The switch does nothing, it's just there. And while we are at the back side, I also went and I did buy some, I'll show you this box of ports, and this is serial and parallel ports, and these are just blanks, and as you can see they are blue. And I just took a Sharpie and made them black. I also added a real VGA with this adapter cable, which actually goes to the Mister, and I now have VGA on the outside here, so this is a real VGA port. And I did add my 3 buttons, and I did add my audio jack and the SD card slot. So yeah, that is pretty much it. And I did create some new front LEDs. These are white LEDs, which need just 3.3 volts because the other need 5 and the Mister doesn't give 5, so just did that. And I used cardboard again to make it. You can see, remove the original, which is this right here. And I just measured and put cardboard in there, which I have done before, so that should actually work. I guess we're good for a test, so let's put on the top case and give it a try. And here we are. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Only thing is that the lights are a little recessed here, but they're in the slots, which is good. Okay, let's start it up. Yeah, LED is blinking, and it's nice and bright because it's white. Switch off the light here. Yeah, there we are. It's open a shell, you can see that keyboard actually works. And if I want to get into the Mister menu, I just press F6 because I have mapped that, and I will show that in a different video how to set up this to actually work. Another thing I did, which is very useful, is that I have this Mister directory here, and I can just FTP onto this and drag files into this, which is pretty nice. So you FTP into the Mister, into a specific folder, and all the files you drop there appear here. So no more swapping around USB sticks and SD cards and stuff like that. My Mister project is done, and let me quickly show you the front so you can see that there's actually light on. So this is where my Mister 3000 now stands, right next to my PET and a tower of miscellaneous machines. And I fixed the green and red LED, and if I press here, you can see that the green LED blinks. And let me switch on the monitor. You can also see that the red LED will blink in a second when the Amiga loads. There it is. And yeah, there's a mouse, keyboard. Oh, and you might be wondering why there's a C64 here. That is because I also have this attached. I have another one of these NFC readers, and I attached this to my second Mister in here. And I have these cards printed, and this is my C64 card. So whatever card lies on this will be started on startup. And I have other machines here. I have, for example, an Amstrad. So if I put the Amstrad card on here, we'll just boot straight into the Amstrad. And if I put my Amiga 3000 card here, this will take a bit longer because it boots from hard disk, but it works just fine. You can see the LEDs are blinking away. Yeah, I have it in high res now, so it doesn't look too nice, but it's better than using 640 by 480. And this is a 4x3 screen. I have my Atari here. Put that on. I also have a PET and a C16. You can see there's the Atari. Yeah, I guess you get what I'm going for. And I have, of course, all my games here, which also work using the Zapperoo interface. Yeah, so that's how my 3000 is set up now. And yeah, I'm pretty happy because this is right next to my workspace here, where I'm right now cutting this video. And yeah, this is a segment you will see now. So let's see, what do we have here worthy. You can hear there's also sound. Yeah, so that is my Mister, and right now I have 2 megs of chip mem and 256 megs of casual fast RAM, which is not so bad. And I have AGA on an Amiga 3000, and really the only thing missing here is a working disk drive, which is a thing I would really love to have. So Rob, if you're watching this, keep working, man. We need you. Yeah, so that concludes this video. If you're interested in how to set up a Mister just to boot into Amiga and have all that stuff, then yeah, drop it in the comments and I will go and show you. especially with the MISTER setup and F6 to open the MISTER menu and stuff like that. Yeah, so you can of course use this for other devices like a C64 or something by just selecting it here, and then you have an C64 inside an A3000, which is also nice. A bit overkill, but nice. Yeah, so as I said, this concludes this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time. Cheerio! Thanks again to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. If you need any PCBs, pre-assembled PCBs or 3D printing, please use the link in the description below. Thank you for watching Retros in Black. If you liked this video, please like it, give it a thumbs up. If you are interested in content like this, please subscribe and hit this bell icon. I have no idea if it really makes a difference, but you never know. And yeah, it's an algorithm, so I'm not arguing. However, thank you for watching, and I see you on the other side. Cheerio!